Erik Darling here with Darling Data, and I don't know if you can get that pungent aroma in your nose. What is that? What is that delightful smell? That is the smell of office hours. Yeah. All right. If you like this content, maybe you want to ask a question on this here office hours thing. I hesitate to call it a podcast because, God forbid, another person in tech with a podcast. Wow. No, not doing that. It's not a thing. You can support this channel by signing up for a membership. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe. All of the useful links to do these things are available in the video description. Gosh darn it. Look a little bit down below the handsome face. If you need help with SQL Server, maybe you watch these things and you think, gosh, that Erik Darling sure does know his SQL Server stuff. Well, you can hire me to do all sorts of SQL Server things for you. And as always, my rates are reasonable. If you want some training, I have it. I've got it. I would love for you to have it. I would love for you to have it so much that I give you this gigantic discount, 75% off. That brings it down to about $150 US. You get that for the rest of your life. Again, video description. What a nice place to be. We still have SQL Saturday 2025. That is not the 2025 SQL Saturday. It is the year that it is taking place. The date that it is taking place is May the 10th with a performance tuning pre-con by Andreas Walter on May the 9th. And you can go to both. And you can see me at both. And I don't know, maybe we can go smoke cigarettes outside together. With that out of the way, let's go party here. Let's have some office hours fun. And I'm gonna have to shrink this down a little bit. It's not really friendly to the oh dear. What happened there? Oh boy. All right. Well, nothing's perfect. Anyway, let's get to this first question here, if Zoomit will decide to be my friend. Well, that word wrap cut off a little bit, but we'll deal with it. Hello, friend. How many hello, friend? How many times can you type hello, friend? Are there techniques to compare data returned from a Sprock? Godly. You just call it a stored procedure. Why do you have Sprock? It sounds ugly in the mouth. It's like sprockets. When making perf changes to make sure you're not messing up the results. I currently run the old stored procedure and then the updated stored procedure and copy the results into a text diff app. There are easier ways of doing this depending on the nature of the results. So one, if you have a store procedure that returns multiple result sets, we should probably talk. It's not really a great thing. Like my analysis procedures do, but they're not being consumed by an application. So let's hope and pray that your store procedures are just returning a single result set. You could either use a global temp table and keep in mind, I understand, you've made the performance changes. You've figured out this new version is faster than this old version. Great. What I would use is either a global temp table or a real table in the database, write the data out to it, and then use some variety of SQL of the lovely SQL standard intersect and accept operators to see if the results are equivalent. One thing to keep in mind is that depending on the nature of the query plan, the results may be correct, just in different orders. So if the order of the results matters to you, you may, if you have an ID column or some sort of sorting element, you might need to make sure that, if you're comparing the results one-to-one, that you have that included in the query. But if you're using intersect and accept, which are fantastic because they handle nulls. So if you've got nulls in your results and you're like, oh gosh, how do I compare all these nulls? Intersect and accept are your friends for that. Let's go and let's answer the next question. Hi, Erik. Hi. Hello. How are you? What is the feature of MS SQL? Miss SQL. Wow. Hello, Miss SQL. Pretty lady you are. That you would like to see customers or DBA use more? Well, there are a number of things that I have in mind here. I wish that well, it's funny, right? Because there's stuff that I wish were closer to being the default in SQL Server than currently exists today. Just for example, I firmly believe that since 2005, the default for any new databases should have been the read committed snapshot isolation level. I do think that, well, with starting with SQL Server 2022, query store is on by default. So that's a good step forward, but, we'll see how this 2022, 2025 adoption goes. 2019 still leading the pack as far as I can tell. So those are two right off the bat. I also, I really wish that, so the system health extended event does capture deadlocks, and it does capture a very limited amount of blocked process report stuff. You can expose both of those using my store procedure, SP Health Parser, which will go in and get as much information out of those two things as you can get. But I wish that there were more dedicated stuff for the block process report and the deadlock XML report. In fact, I wish the block process report and the deadlock XML report were wrapped up into Query Store, because they're pretty important things for query performance, right? Like, it would just be nice if it were all centralized in one location where you could go and say, oh, this is where performance was awful. So those are a few things that I wish people would use more. It does help to create specific extended events to capture the blocked process and XML deadlock report, because it is much easier to access them via specific events specific to those things being captured than it is to go through all the system health extended event stuff, because the system health extended event logs a ton of other stuff, and like sometimes you lose information, or it's like just takes forever to parse through things and get to it all. So those are a few things there that I think would be useful for people. Another book question. What are your top 3 books on performance tuning that you would enthusiastically recommend to someone about to embark on this journey? The good news is for you that I just recorded a video, and coinciding with recording that video on books that I like, SQL Server books that I like, there is now a dedicated page on my website. So if you go to Erik Darling, that's Erik with a K, erikdarling.com/books, you will see a list of books that I enthusiastically recommend for SQL Server people. And this is sort of a twofer, but I do 5 at a time, and these just happen to make the 5-question cutoff. So here we have our beleaguered friend bemoaning their exhaustion. And I you know what, friend, I hear you. I'm tired all the time. I am worn out. Please do not consider my previous question. Thanks, I'm tired. Well, we're going to answer this question anyway, because this question speaks directly to a lot of things that I've talked about here, both in the past and present, and probably will again in the future, and that is around code formatting and proper aliasing and all that other good stuff. They're saying that they have 2 statements where they select the top 5 product ID. Notice that product ID is aliased as PID here, without an as. Always put an as. Like first off, like table aliases should be as. Column aliases, it's a lot more clear when you say PID equals something than PID as. Like you have to read too far over this way to get to the as, or too far down. It helps to have the column names all lined up. And then the second thing that they have is select star from production.product where product ID, and select product ID from P. Well, there's no product ID column in P because you name product ID PID in P. So what you're not doing down here is aliasing your # temp table. And so SQL Server is resolving this product ID column to the product ID out here. And that's where things are going awry. So please, for the love of God, write your queries clearly. Alias things properly. Is the sooner the better you are at writing your queries, the less confusing this stuff becomes. You can become a smarter person overnight just by taking the time to be a bit more verbose in your T-SQL. Stop taking shortcuts, stop leaving words out, stop putting things in funny places, stop putting commas over here, commas belong at the end. Column aliases belong as column name equals expression, stuff like that. And you know, when you do things like this, when we are sloppy with our code in these ways, we hit all sorts of strange, unexpected bugs. This does not just go for like the mere writing of the query. This goes to all sorts of things. A number of strange performance oddities that I have encountered, and bugs that have been silent for years that have cropped up just because people were lazy with things like this, or lazy in using the correct data types for things, is pretty big. So when you write your queries, make sure you know you and SQL Server are able to understand them, and make sure, like when you write your queries, think if the dumbest person in the world came and looked at this query, would they be able to figure out what it's doing? If Erik Darling came and looked at this query, would he be able to understand what it's doing? What would Erik Darling say about this query if he saw it? Well, these are questions that you should ask. Anyway, me and Bats, I'm going to sign off. I do have some more office hours questions to get through, but since I do the 5 at a time because Bats loses patience with me, we're gonna stick those in a new video. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I hope you learned something. I hope that you will format your queries properly. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.